So today is August the 8th, 2021, and I'm just going to do some work on this olive tree. So I think I did an initial pruning style after I purchased this from a big store, not really a plant nursery, and it's responding very well to pruning. Now I just want to prune back the long shoot and putting it into a training pot. So these stubs are left so that to anticipate dieback, and there is very minimal dieback. So now I can kind of clean up the stub a little bit. Let's see which one would be better. Maybe my scissor would just be better. All these stubs I can clean up now. When I prune it, I've left the stub there in case it died back. Now the stub has dried out. I think it's time to clean the stub. And I was trying to use my concave cutter, but turned out that simply my pruning scissor is quite good for this job. Okay, now I would like to, okay, here is one more stub. Okay, now it's quite simple. I just need to prune the long shoot back to induce more growth. So I'm going to apply directional pruning and think about how I should prune it. So this first branch, I'm going to prune it to an upward and downward facing bud. So this, I'm going to prune it to a left and right facing bud. This one back to a upward and downward facing bud, so that the branch that come out will come out in all different directions. The top I'm going to leave it to grow, and hopefully it's going to help thicken up the trunk, and at the same time I'm going to get rid of the old soil from the plant. I always think this soil that comes from the box store is very poor soil. It's very, very wet. I only need to water it once a week, which is not very good. If the soil keep being wet, you have no chance. You have less chance for the air to come in when the soil starts to dry. But nevertheless, the plant is growing pretty well. So you can see all these yellow particles because the soil are so wet. We had a fungus net infestation, and the yellow particles, they are mosquito bites, mosquito bits, which is used to prevent mosquitoes. It's also effective for fungus nets. So I just put all these on the surface of the soil, and it prevented the fungus net infestation further. So olive is just a very, very strong plant. So I think even now it's summer, I believe I can do this. So the mosquito bits, they have a bacteria in it, which is going to infect the larva of the fungus nets, and it's going to kill them. It worked for both fungus nets and mosquitoes, but it's not harmful to other animals. So it's quite a good stuff, quite good. These are black soil that's commonly used for gardening. It's not so good for bonsai because in a shallow pot, it normally don't have much gravity to allow the wet soil to drain well. So I'm just going to tease out all these wet soil, and at the same time there are some weed in it, the root of weeds. I'm going to get rid of. This is a weed, very strong root system of weed. So I was starting with the chopsticks, but I feel that is a little bit too time consuming. So now I'm simply using my fingers. Gradually, gently tease out the soil, the mud from the plant. You can see although there is such a big pot, there isn't that much root. The roots are not growing very densely. That's partially because the soil, they are not very good soil. If it were bonsai soil, proper bonsai soil, the roots should fill the whole container. This soil, if I had a garden, I would use these for gardening, but I don't have a garden. So I'm just going to get rid of the soil. The soil should still be very good for gardening, but it's just not very good for bonsai. It's very rich in organic matter. And if we water the plant, we know very well how to water the plant. The black soil is fine too. We just have to wait for the soil to significantly dry, to become significantly dry, and then water it, and it would be fine. I think the important thing is to have a wet, dry cycle. You can see just very little roots, not really that much root come out of this black soil. So I really can quite easily tease out this old soil. I'm kind of interested on what this fabric-like material is in here. What was its function? It seems to be holding a root ball together. Maybe it's the old container for the plant. Now it has been kind of degraded. Not sure what this is. I think it may be an old grow bag or something like that, which is just naturally degrading. They just come from a grow bag, and then they directly put it from the bag into the box or the new container, and they sell it. This is a fabric type of material. It's just degrading away. Trying to examine the root system. It's not very dense root system that we see in a typical bonsai, but there is some root flare, so it's looking very promising, quite promising. Root flare is good. So I can easily put this into the new container I have. Just need to see the fabric type of material. How do I get rid of that? Seems to be in there. That's not soil, it's a type of fabric. And we are seeing quite an impressive root base, judging by the size of this plant. There is this like a bag in there. I want to try to get rid of that bag as good as I can, but I don't know if it's already fused with the root system and whether I can successfully get rid of that bag fabric system. It's like this. There's a fabric in there. I think it may be the original container. The fabric may just degrade away over time, so they did not bother to remove the fabric when they move the plant into a bigger pot. So you can see this fabric type of material which the root is penetrating, it's growing out of, but it's not fully degraded yet. I'm trying to get rid of this bag system as good as I can, because I don't want it to restrict the growth of the plant too much when I'm trying to develop it into a bonsai. I think initially this must be a very nice container, because the fabric, if they are just growing in a grow bag, a tiny grow bag, the fabric actually will allow a lot of air exchange, and it's very healthy for the root growth. And this center of the root ball, I see a different type of growing media. That's probably the initial container growing media. You can see some white particle in it. I think these are they're not pumice, they are the one that Nigel Saunders used. What is it? It's not turfis, perlite. I think the white thing are perlite. So there are some perlite in it, so it make the air, the soil more, give the soil better drainage. You can see the white stuff mix into the black soil. So that's quite good. The center of the root ball has some good soil in it, so that's good. Okay. I'm still trying to tease out all these roots, this old soil, and see how much I can get rid of. We have an interesting root base here, wrapping the soil here. You can see that's the whole root system of this plant. Very tiny root system, compact. Getting rid of the fabrics as good as I can. This root base is quite interesting. Okay, I think that's as much as I want to tease out. I can leave a little bit of the old soil, that's fine. I need it to develop into a good root system before I do further work. Sometimes we get too excited in the process of teasing the root, and too much work could kill the plant, especially when it's summer now. So this is the pot. This is the training pot, which is a plastic seed tray that sell for $199 for 12 of them. So I got it from the Swanson's nursery. When I go for the cashier, trying to pay for it, the cashier said that their system was down, and so he can take my credit card number and charge later. And then halfway through that, he think that for $199, it doesn't worth the time to take down the credit card information. So he just gave the 12 grow box to me for free. So he's very kind. So I would thank him for that. So it's $199 for 12 of these, and I basically got it for free. And I'm very thankful to the cashier. Just going to cut off some of the roots that are too long. Okay, that's good enough. This is a good enough training pot, and the root base is pretty good too. Okay, we are still in there. I'm just going to put it in the original pot for a little bit. I'm going to add some good bonsai soil to the training pot. Pretty nice training pot. It's good for me to compact my collection a little bit, just a little bit, from a big pot into a relatively small pot. That's good for training. Things that came out of the pot, these root tips that's coming out of the pot, I will get rid of. Oh, I cut the wire I use. Okay, that's fine. I still have sufficient wire to tie it a little bit, I hope. Okay, yeah, I still have a little bit of wire, even though I accidentally cut it. I still have some wire there. Okay, with this wire, the plant will not come out of the pot easily. Now I can fill in the rest of the soil. Again, I think I'm doing this out of season. This type of work would be ideal to do in the springtime, but I think olive is a Mediterranean species. It's used to relatively hot weather. And also it's an incredibly strong species. So I think I can do this. So the soil mix is just standard soil mix from Superfly Bonsai, and it's just 1 pot lava rock, 1 pot akadama, and 1 pot pumice. And you can use this pretty much for any bonsai, but of course you can add more akadama to it for deciduous plant. But if you water your plant well, you can use this for any bonsai. For deciduous plant, you could omit the lava rock and just use pumice and akadama 50-50. That would be quite good. The deciduous mix that Superfly provide, I think it's just this same thing, but they add a little bit organic matter, maybe some pine bark to it, which is also fine. You can use really a wide range of material, but they all need to be well drained. Drainage is very important in a containerized environment. I'm just using the chopsticks to send the soil into the root system, and when I poke on the soil is going to sink into the root system. And the more I poke the soil, the plant would sit tighter in the environment. going to get stabilized. I have a very crowded balcony right now because I'm taking all my tropical plant back from my office to my balcony because it's summer. You can put your tropical plant out and they will love it. So kind of very tight balcony space right now. So this will help me compact my collection a little bit, change from a big container to a relatively small container. Okay, so that's about it. I'm debating in my mind, should I just cut the sacrificial branch on the top off because it doesn't help much for compacting the height of my bonsai. I probably need to put it on a shelf. And if it's that tall, I may not have enough space. Just adding some soil on the surface, and then that should be good enough. I'm going to try to resist because, as I mentioned in some of my material, after you do bonsai for a little bit, a while, you will realize that a difficult thing in bonsai is not how you cut, but how you resist to cut your plant and let it have sufficient growth to develop some good character, like the thickness of the trunk, some taper, and things like that. So I will let the top shoot grow, not developing the crown yet. When I start developing the crown, I would keep the top of the plant well pruned. And by doing so, I'm going to encourage a lot of ramification on the top. When that happens, you are going to get a rounded apex, which is what bonsai typically has. So at the same time, I'm going to reduce a lot of the big leaves to reduce some of the water consumption. All these big leaves on the trunk we don't really need these big leaves, but I'm taking care not to harm the shoot that's coming out from the okay. I think that got it fairly compact. Okay, this is the original pot the plant came from, and we no longer need this. And I will enlarge, zoom in a little bit and take a look on the plant overall. These I can use and try to develop them into cuttings, so I'm not going to waste it. Okay, so let's do a 360 view of the plant. Before that, I want to get rid of all these big leaves on the trunk. We don't really need leaves on the trunk anymore. Which makes it confusing. Is this the trunk or is this a branch? On the trunk there really should not be any leaf anymore. The smaller leaves I can leave it. Okay, that's this for our little olive plant, olive tree, and I will do a 360-degree view on our olive. Now it's in a training pot. And in some very good, well-draining bonsai soil. The top is left to grow to thicken the tree, and I'm simultaneously developing the branch structure. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next ones. Take care. Bye.